Month of Sundays, Restoring Your Days of Rest. Written by Joseph Ventura, founder of the Eden Cafe and Eden Advisory Services, LLC. Dedication. Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. John Lennon. Life happens, no matter how well one plans. There is the so-called invisible hand effect. This is a phrase commonly used by economists to describe when an unexpected event suddenly arrives and changes or disrupts our plans. It applies to life outside of economics as well. I am a descendant of Sicilian immigrants. Like most immigrants, my ancestors were very poor and came to this country with little more than the clothes on their backs and a desire to work to make a better life for themselves and the generations that would follow. One day my father, however, left the family, walking out on my mother, myself, and my younger brother Paul. Needless to say, this left the three of us in a terrible position, but we got through it. By sticking to our values of hard work, resourcefulness, faith, and togetherness, plus with the help of a few friends and neighbors, we persevered. Paul and I managed to put ourselves through high school and college and became responsible citizens. My family's history made me realize early on that nothing is guaranteed. As the founder and principal of Eden Advisory Services, LLC, I've come to refer to myself as a personal finance guide, helping friends through the emotional ups and downs by relying on logic, common sense, and a clear vision. 1. Adam Smith. Thank you. When it comes to financial planning at Eden, we can create a customized long-term plan for you. We take the time to find the right plan and along the way ask a lot of questions to fully understand what you wish to achieve. Whether it be a comfortable retirement, vacation home, provide for an elderly relative, pass down what you've earned, or maybe help send a young person to college or care for a special needs individual. On the personal finance menu are stocks, bonds, cash, various investment and insurance products, as well as so-called alternative investments. Turn on any financial news program, and they're typically trying to get you to go short term. Most of us cannot afford this. Investments are for the long term, and if you cannot put money away for at least 5 years, you probably should not be investing it in equities. Eden does not require a minimum, and we are particularly willing to work with younger people who are recently out of college and starting a job to help get them on the right financial track. We also like to help those experiencing painful transitions such as divorce, death, or sudden job loss. We educate corporate workers and small business clients about adding plans to help them attract and retain employees and one day retire on their terms. And speaking of retirement, you and or your spouse will very likely be retired for a long time. This means you should put a substantial amount of money away for growth and income, as it likely must last quite a while. Similarly, it's often a good idea to protect what you've earned with the right insurance coverage. This can be particularly difficult for so-called sandwich generation members, those trying to prepare for retirement while saving or paying for their children's college education and caring for aging parents. Sometimes a client may need to work a little longer or get a retirement job to help achieve this. Maybe not. Either way, we'll help you make it happen. While I do mention them, this book does not cover things like how to budget, read balance sheets, purchase insurance, select stocks or bonds, or explain the difference between a Roth and a traditional individual retirement account, or IRA, and lots of other personal finance topics. There are countless books available covering these issues. Instead, this is a book about life. And just as many financial professionals promise to help you get more out of your money, it is my hope that this book helps you to get more out of your life. In my view, money is not life. It is not the so-called be-all and end-all. Money is one part of a full life, distantly following things like family, friends, health, and peace. Ideally, this book may help you to make good decisions, financial and otherwise. I hope you'll agree that it is a book whose time has come, and that time is now. If one day you decide you'd like to learn how you may be able to get more out of your life, visit the Eden Cafe and we'll talk it over. After all, it is the best little coffee house this side of paradise. Happy reading, Joseph A. Ventura. Forward. Are you content with the status quo of your life? Very few of us are. If you answered no, chances are you will continue reading. The truth is, change is inevitable. It happens each day, and we must prepare for and embrace it if we are to succeed. To grow, you cannot remain behind the curve. You've got to learn how to read the pitch, figure where it's going, and then hit it out of the park. But you've got to want to grow, and if you do, the next question is, how do you do so, for better or worse? Making the leap versus stuck in a rut. As noted, life changes on a daily basis, maybe subtly, maybe dramatically, or somewhere in between, but each day is different from the one that preceded it and will differ from the one that follows. How you react to these subtle and not so subtle changes may spell the difference between true success and failure. There are numerous challenges when it comes to creating a complete, thriving life full of rewarding relationships and challenges. Very often, it seems our lives can be organized into two key categories, needs versus wants. The end result is usually something in between. The payoff, however, to meeting these challenges and building your relationships is that very likely this will help you grow while providing camaraderie, confidence, and comfort in the company of those around you. In the long run, this should make a huge difference in helping you to reach your fullest potential. Throughout it all, while change can be painful, it is also inevitable. The status quo does not exist, and that doing nothing may be the greatest risk of all. We'll talk about this last point in detail later. Your life is a never-ending work in progress. In each of our lives, there regularly remains a great deal of work to be done, and how you may live tomorrow can depend on which steps you take today. The road to improvement never ends. This often includes fixing attitudes formed seemingly in concrete with backwards beliefs that frequently are rooted in insecurity, bad habits, and influences we've had since childhood. None of us should have to dim our lights in order to fit into one of society's predetermined roles. This is wrong, and here's why. We continue to tell everyone, including ourselves, to wait your turn and don't make waves, while praising history's trailblazers. Consider that many of us are living longer than previous generations. One of the ramifications of this is that we will now have to learn how to create meaningful and fulfilling lives for a much longer time period. It's no wonder that even many who have planned may not feel emotionally and or mentally prepared for retirement, not to mention financially. Opening an early dialogue with those who are important to you regarding how you envision your future can lead to helpful discussions. It's typically advisable to share viewpoints with family members and close friends early rather than later. While it may be wise to prepare with a sense of caution as well as a sense of purpose, waiting too long can be counterproductive. Waiting for a crisis to decide what needs to be done is often a very poor idea. A thorough plan includes concrete as well as personal issues because over time a lot can change. A good place to start can be taking a candid look at your own situation and considering some of the ideas posed within this little book. Happy reading. Chapter 1, Month of Sundays. There was once a time when people used to utter the phrase, "what I'd give for a month of Sundays," or something to that effect. I've not heard anyone make a statement like that in some time, probably a lot longer than a month of Sundays. The reason? Sundays are no longer special. There was a time when the seventh day was a cherished day of rest and relaxation. It was a time to be with one's family and friends, to take a break from the work week, reflect and prepare for the days ahead. No more. The reason no one ever asks for a month of Sundays anymore is that Sundays are no longer the special day they once were. No one knows the difference a Sunday and the other 6 days because there is barely any difference left between Sunday and the rest of the weekdays. What would you do if I gave you a month of Sundays? Would you consider it a vacation from the real world? Or would it not make a difference to you since Sunday has become just like the other 6 days of the week? Get up early, take the kids to soccer, stop at the supermarket, the ATM, the mall, maybe even visit with your accountant or doctor. Oh yes, and make a little time for the family. Remember that? On Sunday, nearly everyone's open for business. Parents regularly allow their children to skip religious service to compete in sporting events on Sundays. Unlike the one at the mall, the church parking lot tends to have more free spaces on a Sunday. They forego often long-awaited visits with relatives to compete against neighbors doing the exact same thing they're doing. "We'll see Grandma next week," they remark. "You've got cousins. Don't you remember the e-Christmas cards we emailed last year?" They say in between cell phone conversations or while waiting to grab some takeout on the way home from the game, mall, or school, all without ever taking the time to slow down and consider what's really important. I often wonder if the phrase "slow down" remains a meaningful phrase in the American vocabulary. Or like the word Sunday itself, its meaning has declined into a nostalgic phrase that for most of us never really existed in any purposeful way. Is this how we were meant to spend our Sundays? God rested on Sunday. Why shouldn't we? There was a time when it was impossible to shop on Sunday because most stores were closed on that day. In my neighborhood, the bakery, candy store, and small supermarket were open on Sunday mornings until noon. We had just enough time to walk to church, buy the newspaper, which was 25 cents, and maybe a few groceries on our way home after service. Why? Because by noon, everything was closed, and we had to get home to either help prepare the dinner for visiting relatives or get ready to go to someone else's house for the afternoon. After 12 p.m. on a Sunday, you could not buy milk. You could not buy gasoline. You could not get to the mall. But there were no lines to stand on, no traffic to fight, no shortage of parking spaces because most cars were where they belonged on that day, in the driveway. And most people were either at home or visiting with friends or relatives, taking time to unwind, to slow down. Packages were not delivered. The phone barely rang. Grandparents told the children about what life was like in the old days, while everyone else helped clean the kitchen. It seems like clocks did not work on Sundays, or if they did, like us, they ran slower than they did the rest of the week. A visit lasted an afternoon. Guests arrived before the food was served and left after coffee. There was no other schedule to keep. There was no other schedule that mattered. The word stress was not part of our vocabulary. Neither were the phrases play date, downtime, and FaceTime. There was no overnight delivery service, no instant messaging, texting, or cell phones ringing at dinner. None of us was reachable 24/7. We carried change in case we had to use a pay telephone. We rode our bicycles without helmets, and children did not carry hand sanitizer with them. Telemarketers did not call at all hours of the day and night, offering everything from cemetery plots to used car warranties. There were no photos of missing children on the back of milk cartons, and we did not have to put controls on our television sets to limit the type of entertainment that could enter our living room. Other times on Sundays, we'd help our parents clean the basement or the yard. Fathers would have a catch with their sons. Mothers would talk with their daughters. Women are more like men today, and girls more like boys. Women are no longer just moms. They have careers and a life outside the home. Girls play just as competitively as boys in soccer, swimming, track, and basketball, and they do so each day of the week, including Sundays. Girls want to be like boys. Women want to be like men. Men try to be sensitive. Isn't being what you're supposed to be good enough? Is it that important to have it all? Is it possible, and at what cost? We have nearly everything today, almost whenever we want it. The idea of waiting for something to arrive is almost unheard of. Time has become our most precious commodity, but how are we spending it? How are we saving it, and for what? If I offered you a month of Sundays, would you take today's Sunday or yesterday's? Would you know what I was talking about? Would you take the time to find out? Chapter 2. Managing your time, managing your budget. Your greatest risk, doing nothing with either. As mentioned in Chapter 1, time has become the most precious commodity. There quite simply is never enough of it, yet the greatest risk of all is doing nothing with it. This is not a takeoff of the Seinfeld television episode regarding a show about nothing. It's about actually doing nothing to grow your life, being content with the status quo, expecting everything to remain the same. For starters, consider that there is no such thing as the status quo. For thousands of years, from the days of Confucius, philosophers have been teaching that change is inevitable and we must prepare for and embrace it if we are to succeed. To paraphrase the history adage, those who don't prepare for change surely will perish from it. But how can one prepare for change, which in many cases is unpredictable? The truth is, life changes on a daily basis, maybe in a subtle way, maybe dramatically, or somewhere in between. But each day is different from the one that preceded it, and will also differ from the one that follows. How you react to these subtle and not so subtle changes may spell the difference between business success and failure. Look at your personal directory, the worn book of old phone numbers and addresses. People move, they change jobs, leave the industry that once made them so happy. Companies come and go, technology marches forward. Consolidations impacted each of us. On the other hand, emerging technologies, especially in communication, present new, efficient ways to stay in touch with old friends, relatives, and classmates. To grow, you can't remain behind the curve. You've got to learn how to read the curve, figure where it's going, and then hit it out of the park. The same is true for your life. But what about the other persona? Here I'm talking about the person who's constantly saying, to lean on James Bond, the world is not enough. The one who wants each day to be bigger, faster, and greater than any of its predecessors. There is a dose of unreality in this philosophy as well, but if a sales manager, coach, or business partner had to choose one over the other, surely she'd almost always select the hard-charging, high flyer rather than anyone content with keeping things the way they are. Here are some key questions to ask when trying to cultivate the champion many feel lies within each of us. 1. Do you have nearly everything you want, or are you harboring feelings of discontent or dissatisfaction? 2. Do you embrace change in your life, or do you wish things were like they were during the good old days? 3. Do you feel greater fulfillment can be found with a more productive personal or business life? 4. Are you trying to live and work smarter, harder, or both? 5. Are you regularly trying to figure better ways to do things? 6. Do you consider partnership relationships that can enhance your life? 7. Are you open to new lifestyle ideas such as meditation? 8. Is your life organized to provide maximum efficiency? 9. Are you satisfied with what you do each day and your performance quality level? 10. Do you have a life outside of your job business? How you answer these questions may determine if you're on the road to a greater life or will remain mired in the status quo. A lot of it is focused on the intangibles inside the person rather than outside factors. The first step is to have an unstoppable, burning wish to succeed. The second is to establish a thought process to help you achieve what you wish. Stuck in a life rut? From time to time, each of us hits a rut, when each day feels like the one before it, which felt like the one that preceded it, and so on. You may feel as if you've reached a saturation point in your life, a time when almost nothing makes an impression on you, good or bad. But if you examine your problems creatively, chances are that in your mind you'll make things happen the right way and eventually will pull yourself out of any rut, real or imagined, and will start outpacing the negative influences of your life. A positive ongoing mantra of your day-to-day life should be employed to regularly stimulate highly new ideas and or outlooks while pointing out ways you can do everything better in your life. It's the type of thinking that generally leads to better relationships and a better life. Every life is in a constant state of change or flux. What generated a boatload of interest a few years ago may not resonate today. The explosion of personal media, desktop technology, voicemail, cell phones, and all sorts of electronic communication devices have changed what others expect from us and what we expect from them. Or have they? For example, due to the information explosion, a shopper has more access to information on nearly any given product before he even heads to a store. Is shopping with this additional information more rewarding? Does an increase in the supply of products and services give us more power? Can we understand the full potential of this information phenomenon to which we are exposed on a daily basis? By planning to add creative thinking to your life, you'll also be viewed as a clever problem solver, one who truly thinks out of the box. And as life becomes increasingly complex, someone who's able to embrace change and offer solutions to others' lives as well as their own can be a valuable person. The market is wide open for avant-garde problem solvers, but it starts at home, with you. There are numerous challenges when it comes to living a first-class life, but the payoff is that determination to build a better you will help you grow while providing confidence to those around you. In the long run, this should make all the difference by helping to strengthen relationships. Throughout it all, remember that change is inevitable. The status quo does not exist, and that doing nothing is the greatest risk of all. Chapter 3. Bending the Bamboo Tree. It's often said, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. This may also apply to everything you value in your life, including friends and family. Let me ask you a question. You have an ego, don't you? Each of us does. Psychologically speaking, ego is the force that drives us. It's the psychological phenomenon that enables each of us to pursue our aspirations, whether they be getting the football across the goal line or nailing that monster account. According to Sigmund Freud, the ego is the key component of our psyches, empowering us to manage day-to-day realities, but it's a force that must be kept under control. This is where things can get tricky, sometimes ugly. In the everyday lexicon, however, ego has come to be more closely associated with attitude. Do overachieving athletes or politicians have supersized egos, or do they just appear that way? It's hard to imagine one of these types being overly humble or withdrawn. While they may outwardly flaunt their success among peers at church gatherings or around the office, are they actually capable of managing their ego, or better yet, controlling it and using it to their advantage? As it's absolutely vital to have confidence in business as in life, no one should let their ego run out of control to the point where their head won't fit through the door. Why? People want to see confidence in others. Children want to see it in their parents. Athletes want to see it in coaches and teammates. A healthy ego versus a strong, overpowering one is typically one that is capable of pushing the so-called envelope to new dimensions. No one ever frowns on confidence, yet there is a cliche. You're only as good as your last sale, your last score, your last relationship. Egotism, the process of obsessively thinking of oneself, can only last so long. Has anyone ever called you an egomaniac or something to that effect? Probably. What did you do about it? Consider the bamboo tree. It's a hard, strong wood and very useful. But is it flexible? It can be, but only gradually. Its shape can only be changed mildly, a little bit each day, but eventually it will comply. It's a lot like some people's personalities. But getting back to your ego, if a certain ego level can be healthy and productive, how does one keep it at the right level? There's a big difference between confidence and cockiness. The former creates relationships, the latter drives people away. Sounds obvious, but it can be easily overlooked. Nearly everyone feels at one time like they've made 1,000 attempts only to receive an equal number of rejections. It's easy to see how one's ego can take a big hit. It's not as easy to see why those who survive in this life not only bounce back from rejection, but grow from it. Consider rejection as an opportunity to analyze your behavior, learn more, and turn a negative into a positive. While your ego shows confidence, you cannot let it get in the way of those who have to come first. Ask about your friends' and neighbors' needs. Giving a friend what he needs is the true royal treatment. When a sudden rejection derails what looked promising, that's when you should be maintaining focus and communication. Sincerely ask yourself what went wrong. Do not be confrontational, not even with yourself. There could be something of which you were not aware. Don't build a wall around yourself. Gradually bending like the bamboo tree is better than being rigid and snapping. Ask if you could meet again in the near future. Most will usually agree to do so. Rationally explain your feelings, don't take rejection personally, and don't let your ego get in the way. Life can sometimes be described as an ongoing lesson in breaking through barriers, which is the determined person's way of handling what can seem like a constant stream of rejection, obstacle, and confrontation. Sometimes telling someone you can do it bigger or be better is not right. Then there's the matter of winning trust. Hurdles like these can weaken the most durable egos. A strong and healthy ego is indicative of someone secure in who he is and confident in his ability to communicate and be believed. Someone with an overpowering ego is demonstrating basic insecurity. That's a sign of weakness. The only way they can thrive is through overbearing mental manipulation, which understandably turns off most of us. No matter what the size of one's ego, at the end of the day, it's the relationship that's the boss. Therefore, it's vital to remember the things that keep it fruitful. No one likes to think they've been forgotten. What may appear to be little things are often actually important, like returning phone calls and being on time for appointments with significant others. Not doing so gives the perception that not only is your friend not important, but that you're more important than he or she is. That's a case of an ego run amok, which will backfire. But egos are not one-size-fits-all products. Like a person's sense of humor, they're unique. What may come across as a misanthropic ego for one may be interpreted as confident for another. What may come across as a misanthropic ego for one may be interpreted as confident by another. Various people will also perceive and react differently to your behavior. The same attitude that creates a happy, productive relationship for person A may not translate well for person B or C. Here lies a new angle for the cult of one's personality, which is inseparable from the relationships you choose to cultivate. While we should not check egos at the door, as that would make us bland doormats, nor should we try to out-ego others, especially those we perceive to be high-ego types. A better approach is to match status, meet them at the same level. If someone has a firm handshake, speaks in short declarative sentences, and carries herself with poise, then do the same. This can be highly effective. Similarly, others feel ego, an offshoot of emotion, can be mutually felt among like-minded individuals. Can we capitalize on this phenomenon? Do powerful people like to be around similar people? There are already enough timid souls on this earth. Believe in yourself and what you offer, and others will respond accordingly. What about at work? Is the egomaniac down the hall in the office filled with plaques and awards getting on your nerves? Before you level the criticism, examine the evidence. Is he broadcasting a false status, or is his business truly increasing each year? If so, this may be a case of an ego as a result of successful behavior. What about those of us for whom, to borrow from James Bond, the world is not enough, a topic we'll address later? We are the ones who want each day to be bigger, faster, and more productive than the preceding one. These types are generally never satisfied with their performance, and neither should you. Chapter 4. Who's driving your bus? Or, can you live with a life coach? Coaches who can outline plays on a blackboard are a dime a dozen. The ones who win get inside their players and motivate. Vince Lombardi. Many scoff at the suggestion of a life coach, but as stated earlier, life has dramatically changed for many of us. It's no longer our parents' world where friends and family were usually just a few steps away. As a result, we need to change in order to better adapt to our changing world. Consider that American sports history is filled with celebrated coaches. Green Bay Packer head coach Vince T. Lombardi and Notre Dame's Newt Rockne have reached legendary status. More recent titans include UCLA's revered John Wooden and Duke University's Mike Krzyzewski. On a more personal level, each of us can probably point to someone in our own lives who's had a coach-type effect on us, someone who pushed us to reach deep inside ourselves to carry that ball across the goal line against all odds. Or maybe it was someone whose strength was pointing out our weaknesses and then showing how to correct them, making you a more effective person in the process. Coaches are becoming very sought after in the world outside of sports. Maybe it's time for some of us to consider working with a coach as we grow within our lives. In life, there's no such thing as the status quo. Life changes constantly. Each of us needs to prepare for this to help fulfill expectations. While your life coach may not blow a whistle, shout commands in your face, or force you to take extra laps around the house after a bad day, one can help you achieve greater efficiency in your business and personal life. The typical life coach is usually a successful person whose judgment you can trust in helping you to leap that next hurdle. While one can be used to help track other challenges, it's very often the business-personal life entanglement that has many seeking the expertise of a coach who has the responsibility of being a mentor and a confidant as well as a critic. A good coach should not only present new ideas to you, but should also be able to help you view your present situation in a new light as you begin the journey together. One should not necessarily help you work harder, but smarter as you proceed through a transformative process for personal and professional awareness, discovery, and growth. There are key questions to ask to determine whether or not a coach is in order. Some of them include, have you achieved a reasonably high success level but still feel dissatisfied? Are you lacking a complete, well-balanced business and/or personal life? Would you like to better manage your time while maintaining your business? If your answer is yes to any of these questions, then it may be time to reach for a coach's services. Conversely, if you're satisfied with the status quo, then a coach is probably not right for you, but no promising coach would accept the status quo argument. Tackling the issues. One of the unexpected bonuses of working with a coach is often the ability to reach stated goals much sooner than anticipated. A good idea with the blueprint to implement it can save someone years of time and effort. A person who recognizes there are areas that need improvement in their life and know an outside source will offer a different perspective while assisting and holding them accountable to action will generally benefit from working with a coach. Lots of parallels can be drawn between sports, business, and life. Consider the intangible concepts like teamwork, understanding goals, and the methods needed to achieve them, such as discipline, sacrifice, and hard work. These can easily be understood by those looking to improve their quality of life. Anyone who can be helped by a coach typically is experiencing a problem in a certain area. Your style may be impeding your growth. It can be basic skills like time management or communication that need improvement. Those who've done well will often recognize their problem areas and be open to new ideas with a coach, serving as an objective advocate. Many say working with a life coach is an eye-opening experience and often recall a period of frustration when their life was running them instead of the other way around. While success does not come overnight, through coaching we can often achieve greater clarity in overall life quality, including being able to spend more time with family and friends. You may want to identify areas to study, such as the shifting work-life balance. You may need to focus on where you'd like to be rather than where you are. Many of us are frequently of an independent nature and often question the value of working with a coach. We may not be accustomed to reporting to someone else who may be critical. Others like the idea of homework, while many complain about it. Be advised that it's not like listening to a motivational speaker. That burst of enthusiasm is short term. Working with a coach is for the long term. Written, agreed upon goals and regular contact with someone who comes to know you increases accountability. Picking a life coach. While several professional organizations offer coaching certifications, a coach's background can vary. What's important is that you and your coach freely communicate. Do a brain dump early in the coaching relationship. Get important elements and strategies on paper so there will be something tangible to refer to later. Consistencies need to be created to fulfill expectations and give a sense of what's important to you. While most coaches are found after a referral or presentation, the relationship usually begins with a fact-finding exercise that could take the shape of an in-person or telephone interview. Here, the basic problem areas you may want to address are identified. A pro may also use a detailed questionnaire for you to complete, providing specific details about your personal strengths and weaknesses you may wish to improve upon during this collaborative process, as well as your goals. These will be useful to determine if there's a fit between you and your coach, with the introductory process serving as the benchmark as the relationship moves forward, so progress is measured and goals are kept on target. While a friend, relative, or clergy member can serve as an adequate coach, hiring a professional can keep the process more organized and efficient. Plus, there is the issue of confidentiality. Will you be comfortable disclosing things to someone who is involved with others in your social circle? What if you have a disagreement? Using a professional removes the personal element and keeps each party focused on the task at hand. The game plan. 1. Decide which area of your life needs improvement. 2. Interview coaching candidates. 3. Be honest about your strengths and weaknesses. 4. Be prepared to regularly communicate. 5. Be open to new ideas. Be accepting of criticism. Chapter 5. Fighting the powers of darkness. It's your life. Take charge of it. If you're like most of us, you've never been taught to succeed. We've been taught to obey our parents, follow our spiritual religious leaders, listen to our teachers, coaches, supervisors. While each of these figures may have taught us all sorts of life lessons, have any of them ever spent any time on achieving success? Have any of them defined success? Think about that. Now make the following promise to yourself. That's about to change because attitude has a lot to do with how you approach your future. For many of us, taking advantages of the numerous opportunities available is a matter of breaking old habits. It does not have to be difficult. In fact, change is the key word here. If you're serious about improving your life and truly wish to achieve real, long-term, multi-level success, one of the first things you'll need to do is change your habits and attitudes. This is not the place to discuss what is the true meaning of success because it's a highly individual and subjective concept. Suffice it to say that most of us procrastinate when it comes to changing our lives. We've not been taught how to plan or set goals, but we have been taught to dream about them, to pine for them. If that's your case, then the first step is to write down on your calendar an appointment with yourself for 1 hour per week to identify and focus on what you wish to change. How to get started. Create an outline of your current life. Line up your personal assets, your strengths. Are you energetic, optimistic, creative? Have a good sense of humor? Lots of friends? Good relationships with your spouse, children, extended family. Remember, this is an individual exercise. You may wish to add or exclude items mentioned here. Take your time. Next, take a look at your personal liabilities, weaknesses. Unfortunately, we each have them. Are you easily discouraged? Do you have trouble making friends? Are you fearful or apprehensive about your future? Have you achieved what's important to you? Do you have a plan to make things better? These are the types of things that elude most people, but remember that America truly is the land of opportunity and has produced more rags to riches success stories than any other place. Our society is full of examples of individuals who buck the odds and achieve success, which has different meanings to each of us. For many, including me, success came only after many years of sacrifice that, among other things, included numerous 60-plus hour work weeks. The lesson to understand is that it does not matter where you start in life. We each have a different beginning, including these born in the same household, but rather where you finish. And it is a clear realization of one's goals, a smart plan, and often lots of determination that will ultimately get you to that enviable position. Personally, I've spent 30 plus years helping people to financially improve their lives. Often this overlaps into other areas, but there's an undeniable sense of satisfaction when my clients are pleased with the outcome of our planning. There are a few things I've learned from these experiences. The first is that if you want to improve your life, you first must make the mental decision to do so. Take responsibility. It's your life. Take charge of it. The truth is, most people spend more time planning their vacations than they do planning their lives. It makes you wonder what's important to most of us. While you may feel comfortable living your present lifestyle, you're probably not doing as well as you can be doing. But I'm willing to bet that nearly anyone can improve their life by focusing just 1 hour a week on this goal. Simple steps you can take to start improving your life. Run your life like a business. Take stocks of the products, services, and people who can help you. Permanently get out of debt. Reach out to those who are important to you. Manage your emotional risk. Set long-term but reasonable goals. Get literal. Another important step. Write down your total income and divide up the number of hours per week you work. Then add in expenses and create a balance sheet to learn how much of your income is coming in against how much of it is going out of your household. After that, it's time to look ahead and decide how much you'd like to be earning 5, 10, and 20 years in the future. Similarly, take stock of your personal life. How much time are you spending with your family and others who are important to you? Have you taken your children to the playground, a ball game, or movie? When was the last time you cooked a meal together or went on a picnic? Eliminate your debts. Debts are toxic. It's generally advisable in your financial life to reduce your debt and save more. But I'm not just talking about financial debt. Do you have personal debt? Have you been forthright and honest with those you deal with? This includes friends and family, as well as neighbors and business associates. Are you involved in a meaningful way with a worthy cause or charity? Is there someone who did you a good turn some time ago, but whom you never thanked? It can take a few years to see significant results from practicing these habits, the financial as well as the personal ones. Yet it's more sensible to follow this route than trying to get rich quickly. The truth is, most get-rich-quick plans fail 99% of the time. Most of us don't want to go through something like this. We'd rather just take the road of least resistance. It's human nature to want to do so, but that is one of the emotions we must control in order to achieve success. But saying it, writing it, and thinking it will only get one so far. There comes a point when those determined to improve their situations must take action. While hard work is important, those who succeed in life usually do so by working smarter, not necessarily harder than others, and that time must be taken in order to enjoy life as well. What good is life if you cannot enjoy it? If you need help with this, perhaps you should call in professionals to assemble your mastermind team. This can include psychologists, therapists, a life coach, a spiritual advisor, or just an old friend. A financial advisor perhaps can be called in to help guide you on getting your financial life on track. For those who may feel this strategy is too risky or expensive, consider that avoiding a specialist fee could actually cost much more in the long run based on the value of the advice you receive. What are the powers of darkness? I mentioned them at the start of this chapter, but what actually are they? We'll start by explaining what they are not. The so-called powers of darkness are not some voodoo-type forces controlled by a little red man with horns and a pointed tail carrying a pitchfork. Just as there is positive energy in our world, there are negative forces. Things such as corruption, over-aggressiveness, greed, laziness, jealousy, pain, and sickness. We're in the domain of the 7 deadly sins here. While I'm sure there are others, but you get my point. It's important not only to avoid the negative forces, but to make a conscious effort to seek out the positive ones. It can be difficult to take criticism, especially when it concerns something important in your life, like a relationship with a loved one. It hurts to be told you're not doing your job well enough. But on the other side of this coin is realizing when and how to separate the well-meaning, thoughtful criticism from the words of those who do not have your best intentions in mind. Succeeding takes a lot of work. Ask anyone who thinks of themselves as a success. And most of the so-called success stars in our world have similar traits and have often set goals that may be lofty but not impossible to reach. They're generally willing to sacrifice to achieve goals. They're creative and willing to make adjustments, i.e., change. They like to surround themselves with other good people, those who can help them and who offer constructive criticism, realistic feedback, and try to provide confidence and emotional leadership. The truth is that the secret to becoming successful is not a secret at all. We create the mystery because we generally choose the aforementioned path of least resistance and are often afraid to implement the necessary changes our lives may need. The secret is to create, build assets, and reduce liabilities, i.e., the dark forces, which include financial and moral liabilities. Through honest personal life assessment, we can create a logical plan, thankfully have the resolve to put it into action, and ultimately enjoy the fruit of our labor. Although some sacrifice is involved, eradicating dark forces does not come easily, but like success, it does not necessarily have to come with a huge price tag. This realization alone makes it a goal worth pursuing. Chapter 6. The Importance of Accountability. We've spent a considerable amount of time on the benefits of getting out of our keeping one's debt to a manageable level. Here we'll explain why. How bad is this problem? Consider that bankruptcy filings in calendar year 2023 were 445,186. This is an 18% increase from the 378,390 registered during calendar year 2022, according to American Bankruptcy Institute data. According to the Federal Reserve Bank, total U.S. household debt has doubled during the last 5 years, while many others are seriously credit challenged. As consumers, we are more in debt than the government, not a flattering comparison. How did this happen? Open your telephone directory. Remember that? There are lots of ads about the benefits of filing for bankruptcy. Like with everything, there are people beating the system and getting away with not paying their bills. These people are probably breaking the law and should be punished. Imagine if each of us decided to no longer pay our bills. Our entire financial system would collapse. On the other hand, obtaining credit has until recently been far too easy. Offers for credit cards, loans, and mortgages arrived in the mail and over the telephone and on the internet on a nearly endless basis, many promising a fast and easy no credit check application. In our buy today, worry tomorrow society, credit card debt has become far too easy to get into and very difficult to dig out from. Once one has overextended himself, he can easily enter the black hole of high-interest credit card debt. So are those issuing credit at least partly to blame for this mess? Probably. The vast majority of bankruptcy filers are not wealthy individuals trying to beat the system. The average bankruptcy filer earns just $22,000 per year. Most have suffered a significant period of unemployment or uninsured illness. According to a report by Consumers Union, 85% of elderly debtors cite medical or job problems as the reason for bankruptcy. Single parents also account for a large portion of bankruptcy filings. What's the solution? It's certainly healthier for our society to weed out those encouraging abuse of the system, but no one wants to see widows and orphans put on the street. Consider those devastated by natural disasters. It's said that many homes fall into foreclosure because either the owners did not have adequate insurance or enough savings to make mortgage payments while they tried to get their lives back together. Probably most of these hardworking folks rarely missed a mortgage payment. Hopefully, those who deserve leniency will get it, as well as a chance to rebuild their lives. But what about the rest of the credit challenged? Debt education or credit counseling for those at risk is probably a good starting point. Another good step would be to establish a relationship with an independent financial advisor. Whether one is wealthy, middle class, or working poor, learning how to budget, invest, and save for retirement, as well as get adequate insurance coverage, would go a long way in making our economy fiscally fit. Many Americans have had a love affair with easy credit. Maybe it's time to end the romance, but how do we do that? This is where the idea of being accountable comes into play. As we stated earlier, imagine if everyone decided not to pay their bills. We'd subsequently face a huge financial collapse. In other words, it's irresponsible not to pay one's bills. It hurts others, particularly those who provide the credit. That's the risk you may say a business person takes when they provide credit. It absolutely is, but that does not remove responsibility from the borrower. There are two words someone considering a loan should know: be careful. Both borrower and lender need to realize the responsibility and ramifications behind such a decision. Banks do not have a lot of money because they're irresponsible. Traditionally, banks rely on the 4 C's when deciding whether to grant a loan: cash, how much you've got; collateral, any hard assets, i.e., real estate, jewelry, equipment, etc., that may be used to secure the loan; credit, your bill-paying history; and character, are you a worthy risk? This is where personal references and history come into play and is the trickiest of the 4 C's to satisfy. If you think you can separate your business from your personal life while asking for money, think again. Generally, if you can satisfy at least 3 of the 4 C's, your chances for obtaining a loan are good. However, the greater risk you're perceived to be, the higher your interest rate will be, or you'll be required to pledge more collateral or face stricter terms. The most basic item to help make you a more attractive borrower is paying your bills on time. The major bills include taxes, utilities, mortgage, rent, tuition, child support, alimony, and credit cards. Many employers often check an applicant's credit score to get an idea of how responsible he or she is. Similarly, borrowing money from friends and relatives can be stressful and risky. While it's estimated that there are over 7 million outstanding loans between individuals at any given time in the U.S., according to the Federal Reserve Board, the default rate on person-to-person loans is 14 times higher than that of bank loans. Should you find yourself involved in a loan to a family member or friend, put the terms in writing so that each party understands its responsibilities. If there is a dispute, the written agreement may help settle it. So why are we spending so much time on money and the importance of paying debts in a book like this? Because how we handle ourselves financially often says a lot about our personality. It's a basic moral duty to repay one's debts, to pay your bills on time, and to help others, whether they've helped us or not. Sounds simple, right? It usually is, unless you've taken a few too many foolish financial risks. But even many loans between family members go bust due to some sort of misunderstanding by one or each of the involved parties. What can you do? Avoid financial risks. Don't get involved in any financial agreements you do not understand or do not feel comfortable with. Be honest with yourself. Is this loan for a good, reasonable purpose? A loan to someone who needs a car to get to a new job or school can be a worthwhile investment. A loan so someone can take a vacation is probably not. If you find yourself in a seemingly hopeless debt situation, consider enlisting the services of a budget or credit counselor. But there are even dangers with many of these so-called professionals. One's best course is usually with a not-for-profit credit counselor. Unlike many of their so-called professional peers, the not-for-profit budget counselors will work for a very reasonable fee that is disclosed up front in an easy-to-understand fashion and will advise you not to go ahead if you're not comfortable or do not understand how they work. Be wary of anyone promising too much, such as a quick fix to your bill-paying problems or who wants a percentage of what they've saved you. The best advice at all? Avoid unreasonable debt and try to help others do the same. Chapter 7. Dealing the loss that comes from the gain. Navigating the sudden wealth effect. People used to spend their lifetimes trying to build wealth. Hard work, a nose to the grindstone attitude, conservative habits, and spending discipline usually helps build a formidable bank balance. Changes in the American population, however, are making more people wealthier quicker and sometimes with little or no effort of their own. What kind of effect is this having on us? Appreciating real estate values, insurance settlements, and inheritances have created a new level of instant millionaires, but they also have a host of issues to handle. There are close to 10 million millionaire households in the U.S., and a lot of them got that way relatively suddenly. Further, over the next 20 years, the greatest wealth transfer in history will take place when trillions of dollars from baby boomers is transferred to heirs. How it happens sometimes. A pre-retiree who inherits property that her parents bought soon after the Second World War, or the 20-year assembly line worker who has regularly bought company stock and made automatic retirement contributions, can very suddenly find themselves with a stratospheric bank account. After they take the trip around the world, then what? The truth is, with sudden wealth also comes sudden responsibility. Once individuals enter the realm of newly created affluence, we would think there would be enough products and services to keep them perpetually satisfied. Often this is not the case. Many of these individuals will need a personal or life advisor who can guide them with conviction. They need to be directed, while strong boundaries need to be set. Their feet need to be planted on the ground through wisdom, grace, and trust. Understanding feelings about wealth is a key concern and must be addressed at an early stage. Those who are raised to value every dollar, common among those who remember the Great Depression, will usually view wealth differently than someone comfortable carrying a large amount of debt, typically a baby boomer. It is not unusual for members of one generation to view wealth differently than those from another, even if they were raised in the same household. That's why one of the first things to do, well before discussing money or investments, is to divulge emotions. Questions to consider are: have you ever received money before? In what type of financial household were you raised? How were your finances before the inheritance? Do you have a cash reserve? How about significant credit card debt? Once one's feet are planted firmly on the ground, their true risk tolerance can be detected so their wealth is not depleted. The needs of those with sudden wealth frequently transform from accumulation to preservation, as the keys should be to preserve wealth and to use it to help others. A great rule of thumb: do not rush into anything. While it may be extremely tempting and noble to give very generous gifts to children and grandchildren or a favorite charity, buy that vacation home, or open that coffee shop, some restraint is often needed because new wealth often has a significant impact on people. It takes time to adjust. After 5 or 6 months, spending habits become more defined. The first 6 months are critical to ensuring proper stewardship of the money. Below are a few steps to help you in this transition. Celebrate gain. When you experience success or achieve a goal, take the time to celebrate your accomplishments. Whether it's a personal milestone or a business achievement, acknowledging your progress and hard work can boost morale and motivation. Reflect on what contributed to your success and use it as inspiration for future endeavors. Managing business gain and loss. In business, success often comes hand in hand with risk and uncertainty. It's important to celebrate victories, but also prepare for setbacks. Invest in diversifying revenue streams, building emergency funds, and maintaining strong customer relationships to weather fluctuations in the market. Embrace a growth mindset that views challenges as opportunities for learning and innovation. Save for the future. Like Joseph did for Pharaoh in ancient Egypt, prioritize saving and planning for the future. Establish a financial safety net by consistently setting aside a portion of your income for savings and investments. Consider enlisting the help of financial advisors to develop a comprehensive financial plan that aligns with your long-term goals and aspirations. Remember that small, consistent actions today can lead to significant gains tomorrow. Navigate personal loss. Loss is an inevitable part of life, whether it's the loss of a loved one, a job, or relationship. Allow yourself to grieve and process your emotions in a healthy way. Surround yourself with supportive friends, family, or mental health professionals who can provide comfort and guidance during difficult times. Remember that healing takes time and it's okay to seek help when needed. In conclusion, navigating gain and loss is an integral part of the human experience. By celebrating success, managing business gain and loss effectively, saving for the future, navigating personal loss with resilience, finding closure and acceptance, and seeking professional support when needed, you can embrace life's traditions with grace and fortitude. Remember that every experience, whether positive or negative, offers valuable lessons and opportunities for growth. Move forward with resilience. While loss can be painful, it also offers opportunities for growth and renewal. Focus on finding meaning and purpose in the midst of adversity. Cultivate resilience by embracing change, learning from setbacks, and staying optimistic about the future. Set new goals and aspirations that inspire you to move forward with confidence and determination. Find closure and acceptance. Closure is an important part of the healing process after experiencing loss. Allow yourself to say goodbye and make peace with the past, practicing self-compassion and forgiveness, both for yourself and others involved. Recognize that closure doesn't necessarily mean forgetting or erasing memories, but rather finding a sense of acceptance and resolution. The emotion of money. Suddenly receiving a large sum of money can also have drastic emotional consequences. Without getting into the psychological aspects of newfound wealth, one's perceptions may change one or more times in response to this, as psychologically. Receiving sudden wealth involves learning how to respond to the demands of solicitors, both philanthropic and new business ventures. It requires coming to terms with psychological and financial aspects. Friends and relatives will come seeking investments, i.e. gifts. It is dealing with the fact that if people view you as wealthy, they will treat you differently. Are the rich truly different, as author F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote in the classic The Great Gatsby? Or is it purely a matter of perception? The psychology behind wealth and one's reaction to it can be a complex and tricky maneuver. If we tend to be financial loners and avoid seeking or accepting help from others, there is an excellent likelihood our role models, or parents, gave messages of not trusting or relying on others. This type of thinking can be harmful. While a well-rounded financial plan will help navigate almost all money-related issues, it can be hard to predict and/or manage expectations or reactions, no matter how good one's plan is. It's likely that many of the newly wealthy will initially purchase a few high-priced items either immediately or over an extended period of time. Therefore, balancing needs against wants and explaining the rationale can be a big challenge. Conversations and emotions, as well as decisions, can quickly become complex, but very possibly you'll get to better appreciate your newfound wealth and keep it where it generally belongs, with your family, while simultaneously using it as a force of good. Quiz. Check your sudden wealth knowledge. 1. People will become suddenly wealthy from A. Winning the lottery/gambling. B. Inheritance. C. Rising real estate values. D. All of the above. 2. The suddenly wealthy often A. Have emotional issues with wealth. B. Have practical issues with wealth. C. Have family issues with wealth. D. All of the above. 3. Members of different generations, but of the same household, often view wealth differently. True or false? Answers: 1. D. 2. D. 3. True. Navigating gain and loss is an integral part of the human experience. By celebrating success, managing business gain and loss effectively, saving for the future, navigating personal loss with resilience, finding closure and acceptance, and seeking professional support when needed, you can embrace life's transitions with grace and fortitude. Remember that every experience, whether positive or negative, offers valuable lessons and opportunities for growth. Chapter 8: Surviving and Thriving with the Water Torture Technique and the Perils of Perfectionism. Water torture is a mentally painful process in which cold water is slowly dripped onto an individual's scalp, forehead, or face for a prolonged period of time. The process causes fear and mental deterioration. Thankfully, most of us have never experienced this and likely never will, so why bring it up? We've each heard people complain of ordinary things being torturous. This traffic is killing me. When's this plane going to take off? I can't take another day in this office. For our purposes, water torture serves as a metaphor for the power of incremental change in making long-term improvements in our habits and behaviors. We do not recommend anyone be tortured for any reason, even in jest. But the truth is, in our daily lives, we often face challenges and obstacles that require us to make changes in order to achieve our goals. Whether it's breaking a bad habit, adopting a healthier lifestyle, or pursuing personal growth, the journey towards lasting change can seem daunting. Look at the other side of this equation. Consistency can pay big dividends. By embracing the simple methodical principle of drip, 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 the gradual and consistent application of small actions over time, we can harness the transformative power of incremental change. Here's how water torture can be compared to the process of making long-term changes. 1. Consistency over intensity. Just as the consistent drip of water gradually wears down a stone, consider that consistent small actions repeated over time can also lead to significant behavior changes, i.e., real progress. Instead of relying on drastic measures or sudden overhauls, focus on making small, manageable changes that you can sustain over the long term. 2. Patience and persistence. Making lasting changes requires patience and persistence. Like enduring the relentless drip of water, staying committed to your goals, even in the face of setbacks or slow progress, is essential. Understand that change takes time and be willing to persevere through challenges along the way. 3. Building momentum. Each drip of water may seem subtle or insignificant on its own, but collectively they can build momentum and create a powerful force for change. Similarly, each small action you take towards your goal contributes to your overall progress and helps you gain momentum over time. 4. Adaptability and flexibility. Just as the drip of water adapts to the contours of the stone it falls upon, be flexible in your approach to change. If one strategy or tactic isn't yielding the desired results, be willing to adjust and try new approaches until you find what works best for you. 5. Mindfulness and awareness. The constant drip of water demands attention and awareness, much like the process of making changes in your habits. Stay mindful of your actions and their impact on your goals, and cultivate self-awareness to identify areas for improvement and course corrections along the way. By looking at it this way, applying so-called water torture principles to the process of making long-term changes, you can unlock the transformative potential within yourself. Remember that change, albeit often difficult, is not an event in itself, but a journey, and that each small step taken can bring you closer to your desired outcome. With patience, persistence, and a commitment to consistent action, you can turn the drip, drip, drip of incremental change into a powerful force for personal growth and transformation as each small step brings you closer to your goal. A word about emotions. When it comes to self-improvement, it's critical to be proactive and demonstrate to ourselves and others not only the strength of our character, but also the strength of our vision. It's easy to say we have a plan or display some shallow bravado, but when you show those around you as well as yourself the possibilities and a reasonable means of getting there through the risks and doubts, then you are practically offering a guarantee of a better tomorrow. And the trouble with offering a guarantee is that you've got to stand by it or risk losing all credibility. People get very emotional when it comes to their family, friends, health, money, and overall well-being. But rash decisions often lead them to changes that have adverse effects in the future, impacting their growth potential. It is very often advisable to replace emotion and harness that energy with a disciplined strategy focused on results. The most important agenda item in an emotional downturn is a reasonable, sensible plan to turn things around for the better. While we have become accustomed to getting nearly everything in our modern lives in a virtual instant, there's no substitute for a friend who will listen. So-called telehealth services offering an 800 number answered by a stranger is no comparison to someone who knows you when you're feeling anxious, as emotions can play an incredible influential role in our decision making. Emotion, experience, and perception each affect our decisions. That is why it's crucially important to understand ourselves and those around us. One thing that's for sure is that life will regularly present us with new challenges, and while technology has clearly altered the landscape, in the face of declining personal contact and a neglect of basic values, it is those with creativity, energy, and a willingness to listen, plan, and make the appropriate changes who will emerge victorious. The perils of perfectionism. And speaking of self-improvement, we've each heard the phrase, none of us is perfect, and that's a good thing. Do you think that being a perfectionist is good or bad for you, your inner circle, your team? Chasing perfectionism can wreck a friendship and a workplace. Having high standards is important. They can even be healthy, but a team or organization can also become paralyzed, i.e., seriously sidelined and hopelessly disrupted by an exhaustive, unrelenting pursuit of perfection. Such an obsession can also have negative repercussions on one's overall health and well-being. Thankfully, it's probably safe to say that most of us fall somewhere in the so-called middle, non-lethal perfectionist range, and can generally succeed by focusing on how to achieve meaningful goals with ethics and urgency. There's a lot not to like about being perfect or regularly trying to be so. The perfectionist thinking is often highly inflexible and narrow-minded, while also tending to doubt their own actions. Perfectionists have a contradictory relationship with control, and this trait should not automatically be considered an asset, although it is often perceived to be one. It is in fact a major personality flaw and named a mental health condition for a reason, in fact several. A key problem is that worrying too much about making mistakes can become counterproductive, restraining an individual or organization and preventing goals from being accomplished. I would go so far as to say that perfectionists can sabotage an organization. There can be a bright side to making mistakes. They can enable one to view a situation differently, encourage teamwork and original thinking, empowering an individual or organization to potentially rebound with a new and or more effective solution. Ultimately, there simply is not enough time to continually perform tasks up to the perfectionist's ever-escalating standards, forcing one to question the value of the relationship versus the benefit of freeing oneself from this unforgivable grasp. The solution? Embrace principles, be flexible, honest, and gracefully flawed. This guidance can benefit each of us. Chapter 9. Battling the Forces of Affluenza. The Blueprint for Personal Success. Reconsidering your attitude about money. What should you, as a parent, do when your child opens a gift and instead of expressing joy or appreciation says something like, "Is that all?" Or the teenager who, upon seeing his new sports car for the first time, says, "You know I wanted a red one," and sulks away. Affluenza, affluence plus influenza, is a growing phenomenon that affects more than children of overindulgent parents. This extreme form of materialism impacts people of all ages and income levels. Other names for the condition include brand name dropping and the new wealth effect. Each of us knows people who've given substantial wealth to their children and feel no appreciation in return. We've each heard the complaints that children have no interest in doing anything meaningful with their lives. They show no gratitude or respect. Don't lose sight of the fact that money is to provide the freedom for what you really want, a means to an end. But even middle-income families are susceptible to accumulating high levels of debt to purchase more goods, whether or not they can afford or need them. It's important to learn to control one's wealth and not let wealth or the pursuit of it control us. You may consider the following questions when determining if affluenza is affecting your attitude and actions. 1. Is your happiness primarily defined by the amount of money, things you have? 2. Are you unable to delay gratification? 3. Do you feel it's important to have things simply for the sake of having them? 4. Is it worth taking on extreme amounts of debt to acquire non-essential items? 5. Do you sense a feeling of entitlement or reward for little or no effort from those around you? 6. Is your home filled with useless items? 7. Have you or your children lost sight of what's really important? How'd we get here? Consider that one's financial life can often be divided into 2 phases. The first is the accumulation phase. This generally focuses on the time you spend raising your family and establishing yourself in a career. In simplest terms, this phase concerns managing a household budget, paying off a mortgage, and raising one's children into responsible adults. Later, we typically enter the preservation phase. Here, we commonly aim to preserve and protect what we've spent a lifetime earning so that we can enjoy our later years, which may involve starting a new career or business, helping raise our grandchildren, or simply making up for lost time on the golf course. The truth is, life changes. One day you're applying for a mortgage, and the next you're buying diapers and formula. And in what sometimes can seem like the blink of an eye, you're facing college tuition bills, weddings, and maybe thinking about how to care for your own parents while you try to retire. How you meet these demands can play a large role in the quality of life you and your family enjoy. What about the other guy? Amid the nearly nonstop demand of raising a family, working and trying to find some time to enjoy life a bit, do we ever give any consideration to the other guy? This can be our neighbor, a relative, or the guy in the next cubicle. Yes, he's made of flesh and blood too. But amid all the fantasies about getting faster, stronger, and bigger, do we ever stop to think about being more ethical? While nearly each of us pays lip service to the importance of ethics, numerous headlines prove that the practice is not a reality for many, whether you're trading commodities on Wall Street or selling hamburgers on Main Street. Can you thrive as an individual if you're taking advantage of your neighbor, hurting the environment, cheating a supplier, your insurer, or the government? Is there a relationship between ethics and success, or are they contradictory terms? Many feel the business world is responsible for some of the biggest problems to beset mankind. Do we even need an official ethics policy, or is our awareness to do the right thing for our family, friends, neighbors, and clients adequate? Can a person driven by integrity and earnest leadership practices actually have an advantage over his competitors? Can he outperform in areas like sales, profit, growth, and overall business reputation? Tackling ethics is an area too wide to be sufficiently addressed here. A simple web search will produce endless experts on the topic. Similarly, contemplation of the numerous issues each of us confronts puts us face to face with choices that have ethical implications on a daily basis. Consider the following. Do your clients know all the fees I'm charging them? Do your clients understand agreements they may be signing? Which supplier do I choose? The one that sends me on vacations or the one with lesser fees? Should I do business with those exhibiting questionable behavior? Have I done my due diligence? Is my marketing completely truthful? Are you aligned with a charity in a meaningful way? Do I disparage competitors? Who do I turn to for guidance? Each of these questions generates more reflection, such as, how do these actions impact how I am perceived by my clients, by my community, by my fellow business people? And in turn, how does this affect my business, my family, and the big one, what if I get caught? While some attempts at moral guidance have ironically come from Washington, a code of ethics should set out ideals for ethical conduct premised on fundamental principles of openness, integrity, honesty, and trust. A good code of ethics should effectively convey to everyone with whom you come in contact the value you place on ethical conduct and should be communicated to your employees. But do we really need formal ethics and conduct requirements? Shouldn't behaving ethically be a part of our daily practice no matter which profession we choose? We do not operate in a vacuum or exist on an island. We interact with friends, family, clients, neighbors, and the environment on a regular basis. Can we also fulfill an obligation to society to help the greater good and still live a complete and reasonably happy life? We absolutely can, and we absolutely should do so now. Chapter 10. Iron Sharpens Iron. Cultivating Accountability for Personal Growth. How accountability contributes to personal growth. Accountability is the cornerstone of sustainable change and personal growth. It involves taking ownership of our actions, commitments, and goals while holding ourselves answerable for the outcomes. By establishing systems of accountability, we create a framework for tracking progress, staying focused, and maintaining momentum towards our desired objectives. Here are some strategies for bringing about accountability to changes you have made and or plan to make. 1. Set clear and measurable goals. Begin by defining specific, achievable goals that align with your values and aspirations. Think about where you are and where you'd like to be. Whether it's improving your health, advancing in your career, or deepening your relationships, clarity is key. Break down your goals into smaller, actionable steps and establish measurable criteria for success. This provides a clear roadmap for tracking progress and holding yourself accountable along the way. 2. Create a personal accountability plan. Develop a structured plan outlining the actions you will take to achieve your goals. This plan should include timelines, deadlines, and milestones to keep you on track. Consider utilizing tools such as to-do lists, calendars, or productivity apps to organize your tasks and monitor your progress systematically. 3. Establish an accountability partner or group. Share your goals and commitments with a trusted friend, family member, mentor, or coach who can hold you accountable and provide support and encouragement. Alternatively, join a peer accountability group or online community where members share their progress, challenges, and successes. Regular check-ins and discussions can provide valuable insight and motivation to stay accountable. 4. Implement accountability rituals. Incorporate accountability rituals into your daily or weekly routine to reinforce your commitment to change. This could involve setting aside time for self-reflection, journaling, or reviewing your progress against your goals. Additionally, consider scheduling regular accountability meetings with your accountability partner or group to discuss your achievements, setbacks, and action plans moving forward. 5. Publicly declare your intentions. Consider making your goals and commitments public by sharing them with friends, family, or colleagues. Posting your weekly calendar along with your planned changes in a visible location such as the refrigerator or a communal workspace can serve as a tangible reminder of your intentions. This external accountability can increase your sense of responsibility and motivation to follow through on your commitments. 6. Track and celebrate your progress. Keep track of your progress towards your goals and celebrate achievements along the way. This could involve maintaining a journal, creating a vision board, or using a habit tracking app to monitor daily habits and behaviors. Recognize the milestone you reach, no matter how small, and reward yourself for the efforts to reinforce positive momentum and motivation. 7. Learn from setbacks and adjust accordingly. Acknowledge that setbacks and obstacles are a natural part of the journey towards personal growth and change. When faced with challenges, reflect on the underlying reasons and identify lessons learned. Use setbacks as opportunities to adjust your approach, refine your strategies, and recommit to your goals with renewed determination and resilience. Accountability is essential for bringing about meaningful and lasting change in our lives. By setting clear goals, creating a structured plan, enlisting others' support, and implementing accountability rituals, we can cultivate a sense of responsibility and ownership for our actions and choices. Embrace accountability as a powerful tool for personal empowerment and transformation, and watch as you progress towards becoming the best version of yourself. Iron sharpens iron. Understanding the accountability and growth relationship. The biblical verse, iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another, Proverbs 27:17, encapsulates the essence of accountability in personal and spiritual growth. Accountability is a vital component of self-improvement, as it involves being answerable to someone else for one's actions, commitments, and goals. Just as iron sharpens iron, to become more effective, accountability partners sharpen each other to become better individuals. Let's delve into how this principle applies to accountability. 1. Mutual support and encouragement. When individuals commit to being accountable to each other, they form a supportive partnership built on mutual trust and respect. Like two pieces of iron rubbing against each other to sharpen their edges, accountability partners provide encouragement, motivation, and constructive feedback to help each other grow. They celebrate success together and offer support during challenges, fostering a sense of camaraderie and solidarity. 2. Holding each other to high standards. Accountability partners hold each other to high standards of integrity, discipline, and excellence. Just as iron sharpens iron by removing impurities and refining its shape, accountability involves challenging each other to overcome obstacles, adhere to commitments, and strive for personal and spiritual growth. They help identify areas for improvement and hold each other accountable for making positive changes in their lives. 3. Providing feedback and guidance. Effective accountability partners involve open and honest communication with both parties, offering feedback, guidance, and constructive criticism when needed. Like the sharpening process that requires precision and attention to detail, accountability partners provide valuable insight and perspectives to help each other gain clarity, overcome obstacles, and stay focused on their goals. 4. Celebrating progress and milestones. As iron sharpens iron to achieve a finer edge, accountability partners celebrate progress and milestones achieved along the journey of personal and spiritual growth. They acknowledge each other's efforts, accomplishments, and victories, reinforcing a sense of achievement and empowerment. By recognizing and celebrating success together, they strengthen their bond and inspire each other to continue striving for excellence. 5. Accountability in action. To put the principle of iron sharpens iron into practice, individuals can seek out accountability partners who share similar goals, values, and aspirations. They can establish regular check-ins, set specific objectives, and hold each other accountable for progress and follow-through. Whether it's through weekly meetings, shared goal-setting sessions, or ongoing communication, accountability partners can provide the support, encouragement, and guidance needed to sharpen each other and achieve greater heights of personal and spiritual fulfillment. The ancient principle behind iron sharpens iron underscores the importance of accountability in personal and spiritual growth. By cultivating accountable relationships, individuals can sharpen each other, overcome challenges, and strive for excellence in all aspects of their lives. As they journey together towards their goals, accountability partners empower each other to become the best versions of themselves, guided by the timeless wisdom of Proverbs 27:17. Chapter 11. Designing the blueprint for your success. Embracing self-forgiveness and forgiveness towards others. It sounds simple, it sounds boring, but it's effective. Your blueprint for success begins by creating a weekly calendar. Yes, a weekly calendar containing each of the elements of your overall plan for a successful life. This is a key step. Anyone can create a calendar. The goal is to understand that it is part of a flexible plan, that it will change and morph as you do, as your goals change and as you grow, is the most crucial part of this assignment. Think of it as success is not a destination as much as it is a journey. Like any journey, it requires careful planning, adaptability, and consistent effort. In some ways, it's like being on a diet. There are numerous diets available. They're probably all good. The trick is to follow them. Like a diet, we often tend to dislike following a plan or calendar, but when properly done, with honesty and consistency, each of us tends to like the results. A powerful tool in this journey is the creation of a dynamic weekly calendar that serves as the blueprint for your success. Here's how you can craft and utilize this invaluable resource. 1. Set clear goals and priorities. Begin by defining your long-term goals and priorities across various areas of your life, including career, health, relationships, personal development, and leisure. Break down these overarching goals into smaller, actionable steps that you can take on a weekly basis. Your weekly calendar should reflect these priorities and allocate time for activities that align with your objectives. 2. Establish a flexible structure. While it's essential to have a structured plan for your week, it's equally important to allow for flexibility and adaptation. Life is unpredictable, and unexpected events or opportunities may arise that require adjustments to your schedule. Design your weekly calendar with a balance of routine tasks and open slots for spontaneous activities or changes of plans. 3. Allocate time mindfully. Determine how you want to allocate your time each day based on your goals and priorities. Schedule dedicated blocks of time for important activities such as work projects, exercise, family time, self-care, and leisure pursuits. Be realistic about the time required for each task and avoid overloading your schedule. This can lead to stress and burnout, and all too often, an abandonment of the plan just before you might see results. 4. Incorporate self-care and well-being. Make self-care a non-negotiable part of your weekly calendar. Prioritize activities that nourish your physical, mental, and emotional well-being, such as exercise, meditation, journaling, hobbies, and relaxation. Remember that taking care of yourself is essential for maintaining energy, focus, and resilience in pursuit of your goals. 5. Regularly review and reflect. Set aside time at the end of each week to review your progress, reflect on what went well, and what could be improved, and adjust your plan for the following week. Use this opportunity to celebrate achievements, identify obstacles or challenges, and refine strategies for success. Your weekly calendar should evolve based on your experiences and feedback. 6. Stay committed and consistent. Consistency is key to achieving long-term success. Honor the commitments you've made to yourself by adhering to the calendar and staying disciplined in your actions. Cultivate a positive mindset and resilience to overcome setbacks or obstacles. Trust in the process and remain focused on your vision of success. 7. Embrace growth and adaptation. As you progress on your journey, be open to growth, learning, and adaptation. Your goals and priorities may evolve over time, requiring adjustments to your weekly calendar. Embrace change as an opportunity for growth and innovation, and be willing to experiment with new approaches or strategies to achieve your desired outcomes. In essence, your weekly calendar serves as the blueprint for your success by providing structure, organization, and direction to your endeavors. By creating a dynamic and adaptable plan that reflects your goals, priorities, and values, you empower yourself to make the most of each week and move closer to realizing your vision of a successful life. Remember that success is not a destination, but a continuous journey, and your weekly calendar is the map that guides you along the way. Embracing self-forgiveness and forgiveness towards others. Forgiveness is a profound act of compassion, both towards ourselves and others. It is also a part of personal growth. During our life journey, each of us inevitably makes mistakes, faces challenges, and experiences hurt caused by ourselves and others. Learning to forgive ourselves for our shortcomings and extending forgiveness to those who have wronged us is essential for healing, growing, and inner peace. Here's how you can embrace self-forgiveness and forgiveness towards others. 1. Acknowledge your humanity. We are imperfect beings, capable of making errors in judgment, behaving in hurtful ways, and falling short of expectations. Recognize that making mistakes is a natural part of being human and does not diminish your worth or value as a person. Allow yourself the grace to be imperfect and accept that growth often arises from learning through mistakes. 2. Release guilt and shame. Guilt and shame are heavy burdens that weigh down the spirit and hinder personal growth. Be honest. Acknowledge any feelings of guilt or shame you may carry for past actions or decisions, but then consciously choose to release them. Understand that holding on to these negative emotions serves no constructive purpose and only perpetuates suffering. Instead, focus on learning from the experience. Do not repeat them and commit to do better in the future. 3. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and compassion that you would offer to a dear friend facing similar challenges. Be gentle with yourself during times of difficulty, offering words of encouragement and support rather than harsh self-criticism. Cultivate a mindset of self-compassion that allows for forgiveness, growth, and resilience in the face of adversity. 4. Reflect on lessons learned. Every mistake, failure, or setback presents an opportunity for growth and learning. Take time to reflect on the lessons you've gained from past experiences, identifying what you could have done differently and how you can apply these insights to future situations. View challenges as valuable opportunities for personal development and empowerment rather than sources of regret or self-blame. 5. Make amends and seek reconciliation. If your actions have caused harm to others, take responsibility for your behavior and make sincere efforts to make amends. Genuinely apologize, express remorse for pain you may have caused, and demonstrate a commitment to positive change through your actions. Similarly, be open to forgiving others who express genuine remorse and willingness to repair the harm they've caused. 6. Cultivate empathy and understanding. Extend empathy and understanding towards those who have wronged you, recognizing that they too are fallible human beings navigating their own challenges and struggles. Seek to understand the motivations and circumstances behind their actions, acknowledging that hurt people often hurt others unintentionally. Practice empathy as a pathway to forgiveness and reconciliation. 7. Release resentment and grudges. Holding on to resentment and grudges only perpetuates pain and prevents healing. Choose to release feelings of anger, bitterness, and resentment towards those who have wronged you, freeing yourself from the emotional burden of carrying old wounds. Focus on the present moment and cultivate a mindset of forgiveness, which allows for greater peace, acceptance, and emotional well-being. What does forgiveness have to do with a weekly calendar? As mentioned, life's a lot more complicated than being on a diet, which for some of us can be tough enough. While the calendar gives us the opportunity to plan as well as reflect, it becomes important to understand that forgiveness plays a vital role in personal growth. Embracing self-forgiveness and forgiveness towards others is a transformative process that requires courage, compassion, and humility. By releasing guilt, shame, and resentment, we can free ourselves from the past and create space for healing, growth, and renewal. Through self-compassion, reflection, and empathy, we cultivate a sense of inner peace and reconciliation that nourishes the soul and fosters harmonious relationships with ourselves and others. It helps us to become better individuals. Chapter 12. Creating the master plan for your life. Success is often the result of not only personal effort, but also the environment in which one operates. Society's so-called winners, the individuals we celebrate, often credit associating with other good people as one of the keys to their success. There can be a lot to be said about this. By cultivating an environment that's conducive for success requires a lot of ingredients. Turnaround professionals, those who are called upon to rescue failing businesses, teams, and even relationships typically start the process with an attitude change, but there's often a lot more to follow. Here are some other strategies to create such an environment. 1. Create a positive atmosphere. Foster a positive atmosphere by surrounding yourself with well-intentioned, optimistic, and supportive individuals. Positivity breeds motivation, resilience, and creativity, all of which are essential for long-term success. Encourage open communication. Celebrate achievements, analyze mistakes, and provide constructive feedback to inspire growth and development. 2. Set clear goals and expectations. Clearly define goals and expectations for yourself and others. Establishing clear objectives provides direction and focus, enabling individuals to align their efforts with overarching priorities. Break down goals into actionable steps, set deadlines, and regularly monitor progress to ensure accountability and momentum. 3. Encourage a continuous learning culture. Cultivate a culture of continuous learning and development. Encourage curiosity, experimentation, and innovation by providing opportunities for skill building, training, and professional growth. Foster a growth mindset that embraces challenges and views failures as a stepping stone to success. Invest in resources such as books, workshops, and online courses to support ongoing learning efforts. 4. Emphasize a healthy work-life balance. Promote a healthy work-life balance to prevent burnout and sustain long-term productivity. Encourage time management strategies such as prioritization, delegation, and boundary setting to help individuals achieve equilibrium between their personal and professional responsibilities. Lead by example by prioritizing self-care, leisure activities, and quality time with loved ones. 5. Build a collaborative and inclusive setting. Foster a collaborative and inclusive environment where diverse perspectives are valued and respected. Encourage teamwork, communication, and mutual support to harness the collective intelligence and creativity of the group. Embrace diversity in all its forms and create opportunities for meaningful participation and contribution from all members of the community. 6. Enable resource accessibility. Ensure access to necessary resources, tools, and support systems to facilitate success. Provide access to technology, information, mentorship, and networking opportunities to empower individuals to reach their full potential. Remove barriers to entry and create a level playing field where everyone has equal opportunities for growth and advancement. 7. Generate regular feedback and recognition. Establish a culture of feedback and recognition to acknowledge contributions, provide guidance, and promote continuous improvement. Offer constructive feedback in a timely and respectful manner, focusing on specific behaviors and outcomes. Recognize achievements and milestones, both big and small, to reinforce positive behaviors and motivate ongoing effort. 8. Foster adaptability and resilience. Foster adaptability and resilience in the face of change and adversity. Encourage flexibility, agility, and problem-solving skills to navigate uncertainty and challenges effectively. Provide support mechanisms such as counseling, coaching, and peer mentoring to help individuals cope with stress and overcome setbacks. 9. Say goodbye to naysayers. Ask any manager, from a sports team to an industrial conglomerate, and they'll tell you the same thing. Chronic complainers are living roadblocks for any organization. Those with legitimate complaints should be heard, and if their complaints are valid, should be addressed. Here we're talking about the ones who are never satisfied, for whom nothing is good enough, and are usually not shy about letting their feelings be known throughout the organization. The solution to a chronic complainer is to see if a behavior change can be implemented. If not, then an agreement to part ways should be crafted. A word about ethics. It is commonly advised to take time from one's routine, distance yourself from the day-to-day operations, and try to plan for your future. How to earn more money or take a greater vacation are common themes, along with losing weight and maybe finding a new job. But amid all the fantasies about getting faster, stronger, and bigger, do we ever stop to think about being more ethical? While nearly each of us pays lip service to the importance of ethics, numerous headlines prove that the practice is not a reality for many, whether you're trading commodities on Wall Street or selling ice cream on Main Street. Further still, can you thrive as a person if you're taking advantage of your neighbor, hurting the environment, cheating a creditor, your insurer, or the government? Is there a relationship between ethics and success, or have common ethics gone the way of the dinosaur? Do we even need to be reminded about the importance of ethics policy, or is our awareness to do the right thing for ourselves and others adequate? Can those driven by integrity and earnest leadership practices actually have an advantage over those who are driven by more base motivations? Will we outperform? What about our community reputation? Fully tackling ethics is an area too wide to be sufficiently addressed here. A simple web search will produce endless experts on the topic. Similarly, contemplation of the numerous issues each of us confronts put us face to face with choices that have ethical implications on a seemingly daily basis. Creating a conducive environment for long-term ethics-based success is challenging but often well worth the effort. Such an endeavor requires ongoing intentional effort, collaboration, and honest communication, complete with two-way feedback and by regularly taking positions of responsibility. By consistently promoting positivity, clarity, continuous learning, work-life balance, collaboration, resource accessibility, feedback, and recognition, as well as adaptability and resilience, you can cultivate an environment where individuals thrive and achieve their goals. Remember that success is not solely determined by individual efforts, but also by the supportive ecosystem in which one operates. Chapter 13. Putting your stake in the sand. How to conduct a SWOT life analysis. Just as a successful business requires a well thought out plan, so does a fulfilling and purposeful life. By creating a master plan, a business plan for life, you can clarify your goals, outline actionable steps, and pave the way for personal growth and success. Here's how to craft your own master plan. 1. Define your vision and mission. Start by envisioning the life you want to lead, defining your overarching purpose or mission. What are your core values, passions, and aspirations? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Use these insights to craft a clear and inspiring vision statement that encapsulates your long-term goals and aspirations. 2. Set reasonable, achievable goals. While each of us would like to win the lottery or climb Mount Everest, wishes such as these are not generally likely to happen, and focusing on them is likely a waste of your time. Break down your vision into specific, measurable, achievable, reasonable, and time-bound goals. These goals should be aligned with your values and mission. Challenging enough to inspire growth, but realistic enough to be attainable. Whether they relate to your career, relationships, health, or personal development, ensure that each goal is well-defined and actionable. Most of all, think of the difference it can make in your life and in the life of others. 3. Conduct a SWOT life analysis. Assess your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, SWOT, to gain a comprehensive understanding of your current situation and environment. Identify your unique talents, skills, and resources, as well as areas for improvement or potential obstacles. This analysis will inform your strategic decisions and help you leverage strengths while mitigating weaknesses and external threats. 4. Develop strategies and action plans. Based on your goals and SWOT analysis, develop strategic initiatives and action plans to achieve your objectives. Break down each goal into smaller, manageable tasks or milestones and allocate resources, timeframes, and responsibilities accordingly. Consider potential challenges and devise contingency plans to address unforeseen obstacles along the way. 5. Implement performance metrics. Establish key performance indicators, KPIs, and benchmarks to track your progress towards each goal. These metrics should be quantifiable, relevant, and aligned with your desired outcomes. Regularly monitor your performance against these metrics, celebrate milestones, and adjust your strategies as needed to stay on course toward your objectives. 6. Cultivate a growth mindset. Embrace a growth mindset, a belief in your ability to learn, grow, and adapt over time. View setbacks and failures as opportunities for learning and development rather than insurmountable obstacles. Stay flexible and open-minded, continuously seeking new knowledge, skills, and experiences to support your personal and professional growth. 7. Seek feedback and accountability. Share your master plan with trusted mentors, friends, or advisors who can provide valuable feedback, support, and accountability. Engage in regular check-ins or progress reviews to evaluate your performance, reflect on lessons learned, and refine your strategies as needed. Surround yourself with a supportive network of individuals who encourage and challenge you to reach your full potential. 8. Review and revise regularly. Life is dynamic, and circumstances may change over time. Regularly review and revise your master plan to adapt to new opportunities, challenges, or priorities that arise. Remain flexible and responsive to evolving needs and aspirations, updating your goals, strategies, and action plans as necessary to stay aligned with your vision and mission. Healthy boundaries, drawing the line for personal well-being. Setting boundaries is essential for maintaining healthy relationships, preserving your well-being, and fostering self-respect. It involves defining your limits, communicating them effectively, and enforcing them assertively. It can mean understanding when to say no and why. Successful boundaries are inexplicably tied to good communication. Be direct when dealing with others. Do not presume they understand the reasons behind your actions. Here's how to put your stake in the ground and establish healthy boundaries as you move forward. It's important to know your limits. Take the time to identify your emotional, physical, and mental limits. Reflect on your values, needs, and priorities to understand what is acceptable and unacceptable to you. Recognize when you feel uncomfortable, overwhelmed, or disrespected in a situation as a sign that your boundaries may be crossed. Communicate your boundaries clearly, directly, and assertively, and defend your rights. This does not mean you should be hostile or overly aggressive. Instead, use I statements to express your needs and preferences without blaming or accusing others. Be specific about the behavior or actions that you find unacceptable and explain the consequences of crossing your boundaries. Consistency is key to establishing and maintaining boundaries. Be firm and consistent in enforcing your boundaries, even when faced with resistance or pushback from others. Avoid making exceptions or allowing boundary violations to go unaddressed, as this can undermine your credibility and reinforce unhealthy dynamics. Prioritize self-care and self-respect. As you are as important as everyone else in your circle, it is important that your boundaries be honored and you have a reliable way of taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Set aside time for relaxation, hobbies, exercise, and activities that replenish your energy and bring joy. Self-care is not selfish, but necessary for maintaining balance and resilience. Just as you expect others to respect your boundaries, extend the same courtesy to them. Listen actively, empathize with their needs, and refrain from pressuring or manipulating them into violating their boundaries. Cultivate empathy and understanding in your interactions, recognizing that everyone has their limits and boundaries. Should you find yourself at a moral or ethical crossroads, surround yourself with supportive individuals who respect and reinforce your boundaries. Seek guidance from trusted friends, family members, a clergy member, or mental health professional if you're struggling to establish or enforce boundaries in certain relationships. Remember that you don't have to navigate boundary setting alone, and seeking help is not a sign of weakness, but one of wisdom. While it's important to stay firm in upholding your boundaries, remain open to feedback and adjustments when necessary. Recognize that boundaries may evolve over time as you grow, change, and gain new insights about yourself and your relationships. Life truly is a long and twisting road, often with an unclear destination. In response, you must be willing to reevaluate and renegotiate boundaries to reach your goal. No one likes to be the so-called bad guy, the heavy, the one who has to drop the proverbial hammer. Yet to succeed, it is necessary to clearly communicate consequences for boundary violations and be prepared to follow through with them if necessary. Consequences should be reasonable, proportional, and aimed at protecting your well-being and upholding your boundaries. Be prepared to enforce consequences consistently to reinforce the importance of respecting boundaries. While setting healthy boundaries is essential for establishing mutual respect, maintaining balance, and fostering positive relationships, creating a master plan for life is akin to developing a business plan for your personal journey. By knowing your limits, clearly communicating, remaining consistent, practicing self-care, respecting others' boundaries, seeking support, staying firm yet flexible, and setting consequences, you can assertively draw the line and prioritize your well-being. Boundaries are not barriers, but rather essential guidelines for healthy and fulfilling relationships. You can chart a course toward a fulfilling and purposeful life. Your master plan is a living document that evolves with you, guiding your actions and decisions as you navigate the ups and downs of life's journey. Chapter 14. Embracing change, driving out dysfunction while embracing humility and remaining open to new ideas. Embarking on a journey of self-discovery and personal growth often involves identifying and addressing dysfunction in various aspects of our lives. While cleaning house and making positive changes can lead to greater fulfillment and happiness, it's essential to recognize that these transformations may also have consequences, particularly in our relationships. In this chapter, we'll explore how ferreting out dysfunction can impact our relationships and offer guidance on navigating these changes with grace and compassion. 1. Identifying dysfunction. The first step in creating positive change is recognizing that dysfunction in our lives, each of us has some. This may involve assessing our relationships, career, personal habits, and living environment with honesty and self-awareness. Pay attention to patterns of behavior or situations that leave you feeling drained, unhappy, or unfulfilled. Trust your intuition and inner wisdom to guide you toward areas that need improvement. 2. Cleaning house. Once dysfunction has been identified, it's time to take action to address it. This may involve setting boundaries with toxic individuals, ending unhealthy relationships, decluttering your physical space, or making changes to your career or lifestyle. While these decisions can be difficult, they are essential for creating a healthier and more balanced life. 3. Navigating relationship changes. Cleaning house often leads to shifts in our relationships. Some may support and celebrate your growth. Others may resist or feel threatened by it. It's important to approach these changes with empathy and understanding. Communicate openly and honestly with loved ones about your journey and the reasons behind your decisions. Be prepared for varying reactions and give others the space to process their feelings. 4. Embracing growth together. While some relationships may change or fade during your journey of personal growth, others may deepen and evolve in beautiful ways. Surround yourself with supportive individuals who uplift and inspire you to be the best version of yourself. Cultivate relationships based on authenticity, mutual respect, and shared values. Embrace the opportunity to grow and evolve together with your loved ones. 5. Trusting the process. Finally, remember that change is a natural and necessary part of life. Trust in the universe or a higher power to guide you along the path that is meant for your highest good. Have faith that everything happens for a reason and that the universe has a plan for your growth and evolution. Embrace uncertainty and surrender control, knowing that you are exactly where you need to be in this moment. In our journey through life, it's essential to recognize that no one has a monopoly on good ideas. Being haughty and prideful can be a significant hindrance to personal and professional growth, as it closes us off to valuable insights and perspectives from others. It's helpful to understand the importance of humility, remain open to new ideas, and appreciate the significance of wisely choosing our inner circle. Humility opens doors. In these days of seemingly instant internet stardom and 24-hour access, how can humility be of any value? Humility is a powerful virtue that opens doors to new opportunities and connections. When we approach life with humility, we acknowledge that we don't have each of the answers and that there is always room for growth and learning. By humbly accepting feedback and considering the perspectives of others, we can expand our knowledge and understanding in profound ways. Avoid prideful traps. Pride and haughtiness can blind us to our own shortcomings and prevent us from recognizing the value of others' ideas and contributions. When we believe we have all the answers, we close ourselves to growth and limit our potential. It's essential to guard against prideful traps and remain open-minded and receptive to new ideas and perspectives. Cultivate humility. Cultivating humility requires self-awareness and a willingness to acknowledge our limitations and mistakes. It involves recognizing that we are imperfect beings on a journey of growth and self-discovery. Practicing humility means approaching every interaction with a sense of curiosity and openness, eager to learn from others and expand our horizons. Lead by example. As leaders and role models, it's essential to demonstrate humility in our words and actions. By openly acknowledging our humanity and fallibility, we create an environment where others feel comfortable sharing their ideas and perspectives. Leading by example means fostering a culture of humility and openness where everyone's contributions are valued and respected. Wisely choose your inner circle. Your inner circle is the group of those who mean the most to you and can be counted on as reliable friends and partners. While it's essential to be open to new ideas and perspectives, it's also crucial to carefully choose who you add to your inner circle. Surround yourself with individuals who uplift and inspire you, but also challenge and encourage you to grow. Be discerning about who you allow into your inner circle, as these relationships can profoundly impact your mindset and life trajectory. Embrace vulnerability. Embracing vulnerability is another key aspect of humility. It involves being honest and transparent about our struggles and imperfections. Vulnerability allows us to connect more deeply with others and build genuine, meaningful relationships based on trust and authenticity. Learning from Jesus' example. Even Jesus, one of history's most influential figures, recognized the importance of humility and wisely chose his inner circle. He surrounded himself with 12 close disciples who supported and challenged him on his journey. By following Jesus' example, we can cultivate humility, openness, and wisdom in our own lives. Identifying and removing dysfunction and making positive changes in our lives can have profound consequences, particularly in our relationships and outlook. By approaching these changes with honesty, empathy, and compassion, we can navigate relationship shifts with grace and understanding. Trust the process of personal growth and evolution, and know that the universe has a plan for your happiness and fulfillment. Humility is a powerful virtue that opens doors by growth, learning, and meaningful connections with others. By embracing humility and avoiding prideful traps, we can create a culture of openness and collaboration where everyone's ideas are valued and respected. Choose your inner circle wisely, lead by example, and embrace vulnerability as you continue on your journey of personal and professional growth. Chapter 15. Why you should challenge your comfort zone. As we journey through life, it's natural to develop certain routines, habits, and beliefs that come to shape our worldview and guide our actions. However, it's essential to periodically question just how set in our ways we may have become. In this chapter, we'll explore the importance of challenging our comfort zones and embracing change and growth. Patterns and perspectives. Take a moment to reflect on your daily routines, habits, and thought patterns. Are there certain behaviors or beliefs that you consistently gravitate towards? Do you find yourself resisting change or feeling uncomfortable when confronted with new ideas or perspectives? Recognizing these patterns is the first step towards understanding just how set in your ways you may be. It may be a good time to explore new perspectives. One of the most effective ways to challenge your comfort zone is by actively seeking out new perspectives and experiences. Engage in conversations with people who hold different beliefs or come from diverse backgrounds. Read books, watch documentaries, or attend lectures on topics outside of your usual interests. By exposing yourself to new ideas, you can broaden your horizons and expand your understanding of the world. You may find that growth is uncomfortable. This often occurs when venturing outside of our comfort zones. Try to embrace discomfort as a sign that you're pushing yourself to grow and evolve. Instead of shying away from challenging situations, lean into them with curiosity and an open mind. Whether it's trying a new hobby, learning a new skill, or taking on a new leadership role, embrace the opportunity to stretch yourself and step outside of familiar territory. Similarly, it can be helpful to question assumptions. Challenge the assumptions and beliefs that underlie your actions and decisions with sincerity and an open mind. Ask yourself why you believe what you do and whether those beliefs still serve you. Be open to questioning long-held beliefs and considering alternative perspectives. Sometimes the most significant breakthroughs occur when we're willing to challenge our own assumptions and biases. As we've noticed throughout this book, change is inevitable, and learning to embrace it is essential for personal growth and development. Instead of clinging to the familiar, approach change with a sense of curiosity and adaptability, as if you were trying a new food in a new restaurant for the first time. Recognize that change can lead to new opportunities and experiences that enrich your life in unexpected ways. Embracing change allows you to stay flexible and resilient in the face of life's inevitable ups and downs. During your journey of personal growth, soliciting feedback from trusted friends, family members, or mentors about areas where you may be stuck in your ways can be helpful. Be open to constructive criticism and use it as an opportunity for self-reflection and growth. Sometimes an outside perspective can provide valuable insights into blind spots or areas for improvement that you may not have considered. A great ingredient in this journey is to cultivate a mindset of curiosity and lifelong learning. This can be manifested in numerous ways. Approach each day with a sense of wonder and a willingness to explore new ideas and experiences. Cultivating curiosity keeps your mind open and receptive to change, allowing you to continue growing and evolving through your life. Be in the world, not of the world. In our ongoing journey, we often find ourselves navigating the delicate balance between being in the world and not of the world. This concept, rooted in various spiritual and philosophical traditions, speaks to the challenge of engaging with the world around us while maintaining our moral and spiritual integrity. But what does it mean to be in the world but not of it? How can we apply this principle to our daily lives? The idea of being in the world but not of it suggests that while we must interact with the world and its systems, we should not be controlled or defined by them. It encourages us to maintain a sense of detachment from worldly pursuits and values that may conflict with our deeper spiritual or moral principles. To navigate the balance between being in the world and not of it, it's essential to cultivate inner awareness and clarity about our values, beliefs, and priorities. Take time for introspection and reflection to identify what truly matters to you and what you aspire to embody in your worldly interactions. Living with intention means aligning our actions and choices with our deepest values and aspirations. It involves making conscious decisions about how we engage with the world and the impact we wish to have. By living with intention, we can avoid being swept away by the currents of worldly desires and expectations. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present and aware of our thoughts, feelings, and actions in the present moment. By cultivating mindfulness, we can observe the effect of worldly influences on our thoughts and behaviors without being consumed by them. Mindfulness helps us maintain clarity and discernment in our interactions with the world. In the pursuit of being in the world but not of it, it's important to seek higher truths and spiritual principles that transcend worldly concerns. Whether through prayer, meditation, or study of sacred text, seeking higher truths can provide guidance and perspective in navigating life's challenges and temptations. Detachment does not mean apathy or indifference towards the world, but rather a healthy sense of non-attachment to worldly outcomes and possessions. By practicing detachment, we free ourselves from the grip of materialism and ego-driven desires, allowing us to experience greater inner peace and contentment. An important component of this journey is to live with integrity. Like our discussion of humility, living with integrity means acting in accordance with our values and principles, even when faced with pressure to compromise or conform to worldly standards. It requires courage, authenticity, and a willingness to stand firm in our convictions, regardless of external influences. Similarly, compassion is the heart of being in the world but not of it. This involves extending kindness, empathy, and understanding to all beings, regardless of their beliefs or backgrounds. Cultivating compassion allows us to engage with the world from a place of love and connection, fostering harmony and goodwill wherever we go. Where do you go from here? Being in the world but not of it is a profound spiritual principle that invites us to navigate the complexities of life with wisdom, discernment, and integrity. By cultivating inner awareness, living with intention, practicing mindfulness, seeking higher truths, practicing detachment, living with integrity, and cultivating compassion, we can embody this principle in our daily lives and contribute to the greater good of humanity and the world. Questioning how set in your ways you may be is an essential step towards personal growth and development. By challenging your comfort zone, exploring new perspectives, and embracing change, you can continue to evolve and thrive in an ever-changing world. Promise yourself to stay curious, be open to feedback, and embrace discomfort as an opportunity to attain greater growth and progress. Chapter 16. The world is not enough. Or is it? To borrow from James Bond, there are times when it can feel like the world is not enough. There are those of us who want each day to be bigger, faster, and more productive than the preceding one. While there may be a dose of unreality in this philosophy, if a sales manager, coach, or even good friend or life partner had to choose one over the other, many likely would select the hard-charging, high flyer rather than someone content with keeping things the way they are. These types are generally never satisfied with their performance, and don't we all want a bigger house, faster car, to be better looking, funnier, have better relationships, or do we? Should we? Evaluating the quality of your life. How do you begin to evaluate the quality of your life? To start, you can take any random moment to pause and reflect. This question invites you to consider whether you are experiencing intangibles like joy, fulfillment, satisfaction, and overall well-being, in addition to physical comforts like financial security and having a nice home, and of course, good health. Here we'll expose key areas to think about when evaluating your life quality before offering a roadmap for how to decide if it's time to make some truly important improvements. 1. Physical health. This is a good starting point for one's life evaluation. Are you taking care of your body, regularly exercising, following a balanced diet, getting enough sleep? It's important to note any signs of physical discomfort such as back pain or regular insomnia. Are they signs of a greater illness? It's not only your body. Think of those who depend on you and take proactive steps to address them. 2. Emotional well-being. Similar to your physical well-being, it's important to reflect on your emotional state. Are you experiencing a sense of inner peace, joy, and satisfaction? Or do you often feel overwhelmed, anxious, or lonely? Practices such as mindfulness, self-care, and healthy coping strategies can help one emotionally thrive and effectively manage stress. If you need more human contact, consider a religious, ethnic, or trade group, or get in touch with those who share similar interests. 3. Relationships. Evaluate the quality of your relationships with family, friends, romantic partners, and colleagues. Do you feel supported, valued, and connected in your relationships? Cultivate open communication, empathy, and mutual respect to foster healthy and fulfilling connections with others. Consider your personal growth and development. Are you actively pursuing learning opportunities, hobbies, and interests that nourish your mind and spirit, that help grow personal relationships? Can you cultivate a growth mindset filled with healthy curiosity and a willingness to learn new things, expand your horizons, and fulfill your potential? It does not have to be difficult. You can begin with simple changes. 4. Work and career. Assess your satisfaction and fulfillment with work and/or career. Are you engaged in meaningful work that aligns with your values and passions? Are you experiencing growth, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose in your professional life? Explore opportunities for growth, learning, and advancement that resonate with your aspirations, like learning a foreign language or getting involved with a volunteer group. 5. Finances. Do you have a real plan for achieving financial goals, or is your future irresponsibly set on cruise control? Are you managing your finances carefully and effectively? Do you have a realistic budget? Are you saving for the future, reducing debt? Do you have suitable insurance coverage? Can you help your children or grandchildren with the cost of education? Now is the time to take steps to improve your financial literacy and build a solid financial foundation for yourself and those you care about. 6. Contribution and purpose. Are you regularly contributing to making the world a better place, or are you overly absorbed in your own affairs? Can you help make a positive impact in the community, society, in the world at large, or perhaps in the life of another individual? Are there skills or experiences you can share, ways to engage in meaningful services of those around you? Consider volunteer work and/or advocacy efforts for a cause in which you believe. This can pay great intrinsic dividends. 7. Closing points. Take a holistic view of your life. Honestly review your overall well-being. Are you living in harmony with your core values? Are you enjoying fulfillment, balance, and inner peace? If not, you may wish to identify those areas that need improvement and promise to take concrete action as a means to improving and enhancing your life quality. Remember that evaluating the quality of your life is an ongoing process that requires self-reflection, honesty, and a willingness to make changes. By paying attention to these key areas and taking proactive steps to improve your well-being, you can cultivate a life that is rich in meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. Where can reflection lead? Reflection often leads to comparisons. It's easy to compare how things like culture, work, and family are today compared to how they were during earlier stages of life. Were the good old days truly better than life today, or is it our imagination waxing nostalgic? It's difficult to say. It's possible that they are better in some ways and worse in others. Culture is a regularly changing entity that surrounds us, impacting us in a variety of ways. It evolves over time, reflecting values, beliefs, customs, and behaviors of individuals and of societies. Consider how mass communication has impacted us. Positioning today's culture against earlier times reveals significant shifts and changes influenced by various factors such as technological advancements, social movements, globalization, and general differences. As earlier stated, there is no such thing as the status quo. Personal and societal change are inevitable, and we must prepare for and embrace them if we are to flourish. If you truly want to grow, then the next question is how to do so. Look at your line of work. It's probably not the same as it was 10, 5, or even 3 years ago. Clients move, people change jobs, retire, friends get divorced, remarry, start second families, start businesses, companies come and go. There's a very good chance that the plant that was the big local employer no longer has the same number of workers it did a few years ago. For better or for worse, businesses change. When was the last time you purchased an LP or cassette in a record store, dealt with a travel agent, or upgraded the factory-installed radio that came with your car? These are examples of once thriving businesses that have gone the way of the Walkman. How many of us now nearly exclusively shop online, searching for the best deal while bypassing the local retailer? Consolidation, technology, and competition have made us leaner and meaner, but have they made us better? 1. Technology revolutions. One of the most profound changes in society has come from the ongoing forward march of technology. Our era will be characterized by easy access to information, communication, and entertainment through smartphones, the tiny computers we each now carry everywhere, social media, and of course the internet. These inventions came about relatively quickly, historically speaking. Consider that the printing press, a truly revolutionary invention, was created around 1440 by Johannes Gutenberg. The rotary press, its modern successor, did not arrive until 1847, about 400 years later, a super eternity by today's standards. The rapid technological advances we enjoy today are transforming society at a nearly unrecognizable pace. It remains to be seen what the long-term effects on our daily lives will be. 2. Social media and the promise of connectivity. Intertwined with the aforementioned technological advances, the growth of social media platforms has reshaped the way we interact. Unlike when face-to-face interactions across kitchen tables and conference rooms were common, today's culture emphasizes virtual connections, conference calls, and so-called online communities. Social media has democratized communication, allowing individuals to share their voices, opinions, and experiences on a global scale. In some ways, this has encouraged unity and knowledge sharing, but it has also helped to increase division and stress. Globalization has facilitated the exchange of ideas across borders. Today's cultural landscape is characterized by multiculturalism and diversity, with greater recognition of different ethnicities, religions, and lifestyles compared to earlier periods when homogeneity was more prevalent. How would previous generations have reacted to this? 3. What about values? No one will likely disagree that social norms and values have evolved over time, reflecting shifting attitudes and perceptions towards various societal and personal concerns. Years past may have been characterized by more traditional gender roles, conservative attitudes towards sexuality and marriage. Today, divorce and so-called alternative lifestyles are as common today as rigid social hierarchies were for prior generations. Contemporary culture regularly challenges the so-called norms, aiming to promote intangibles like equality, diversity, and social justice. In many ways, they have succeeded, but many would also argue that they have come with a cost. We must each make our own personal decisions here. 4. Buy, and buy. Today's culture is often associated with consumerism and materialism. It's easy to blame Madison Avenue for creating a consumer culture where material items are valued more than personal ones. How exhausting is the pursuit of wealth and possession accumulation? At what cost does it come? In earlier years, it may have felt that there was a greater emphasis placed on qualities like frugality, simplicity, and finding the time to help your neighbor. It's become easy in contemporary society to prioritize individualism and instant gratification. But is material success and conspicuous consumption truly success? 5. Environmental awareness. Is the earth getting warmer? Many scientists say it is. Others would rather deny this. No matter which side you fall on, nearly each of us will agree that the environmental degradation our beautiful planet has endured needs to stop. Relatively recent generations have taken a greater interest in such issues as sustainability, environmental awareness, pollution reduction, and environmental activism compared to their predecessors. These activities have helped to create a heightened awareness of the impact human activities have had on our environment. Demanding more sustainable practices and lifestyles cannot come soon enough. Our collective future is at stake. 6. Political and social divides. Sadly, many would agree that today's culture is overwhelmed with growing political, social, ideological, and economic conflicts. Partisan politics, media sensationalism, and a refusal by many of those in the spotlight to take the high road of tolerance and responsibility has brought society to new lows. History is full of political tensions and social divides, but contemporary culture, enhanced by our 24/7 news cycle and irresponsible news reporting, is magnifying this phenomenon, making it very challenging for society to thrive. What can you do? To paraphrase the history adage, those who don't prepare for change often perish from it. A person with a strong and healthy ego is indicative of someone secure in who they are and confident in their ability to communicate and be believed. They take responsibility and are thoughtful and considerate of others' opinions. Similarly, culture is a dynamic and ever-changing phenomenon, and no discourse could ever include all of the ways it has impacted humanity. While there have been positives and negatives between today's culture and those of prior periods, it can be helpful to realize that such changes force us to adapt to an ever-changing world. There is no turning back the clock when it comes to technology. Similarly, it is important to try to embrace cultural, religious, and ethnic diversity, as well as changing morals and attitudes. A true spirit of tolerance will help us to foster meaningful dialogue while encouraging empathy and understanding. As noted, life changes on a daily basis, maybe in a subtle way, maybe dramatically or somewhere in between, but each day is different from that one that preceded it and will differ from those that follow. How you react to these subtle and not so subtle changes may spell the difference between true personal success and failure. Ideally, we can use these opportunities to create a better world for ourselves and future generations. Chapter 17. The Pros and Cons of Change. Much of what you'll experience tomorrow often depends on the steps you take today. As we described earlier, change impacts each of us. How we plan for and react to change is what can spell the difference between future success and failure. Change is the one true constant in life. Its effects have both pros and cons, often depending on how we react. What can you do to help assure that when change strikes, it brings about more positive outcomes than negative ones? Positive changes can include personal growth, new opportunities, adaptability, and empowerment. Each of these can enable us to create the life we desire. Negative changes may be discomfort and uncertainty, resistance and opposition, loss and grief, and finally, failure and setbacks. Change can be difficult, providing unforeseen disappointments. Again, how we react is often what spells the difference. An effective approach to managing change is to focus neither on solutions nor problems, but rather on the pain we may be experiencing or anticipating. The challenge is to identify the source of the pain and how to reduce it. Sounds simple, right? It often is not. Psychologists tell us that fundamentally, human behavior is driven by two forces, the desire to avoid pain and the desire to gain pleasure. Of those, the more powerful is the desire to avoid pain. If we are aware of a pain point and can somehow link a way to hastening the removal or lessening of that pain, we're more likely to succeed. For example, you may hear a friend say, "I know I need to have life insurance," or "I know I need to be saving more," but that may not be compelling enough to cause change. However, if that friend learns of a friend or neighbor whose spouse suddenly died and the surviving spouse was forced to move, transfer children to new schools, and endure other unexpected disruptions in addition to grieving, that may be painful enough to force someone to take action, ideally eliminating the pain point.
Anecdotes aside, it is important to plot a course to manage the multidimensional nature of change. This can include embracing a growth mindset. This will help you to view change as an opportunity for learning, growth, and self-improvement. Be grateful for the positives that change brings, as well as the strength to face its challenges. Be kind to you. During periods of change, it is important to be kind to yourself. This does not mean to wallow in self-pity. While some self-pity is normal, there comes a time to accept the challenges and difficulties by confronting them. It can also help to contact friends, family, or health professionals for support and guidance during these periods. Try to create a supportive group of individuals who can offer encouragement, perspective, and assistance when needed, or simply be there to listen. Similarly, during such trials of personal crisis, it is vital to remain open-minded, to be considerate of new or different viewpoints, and flexible in your problem-solving approach. It may be time for you to adjust your plans, strategies, and expectations. When faced with things beyond our control, it may be necessary to embrace the uncertainty and do our best to manage the journey. Conversely, other aspects of change may lie within your control. These can include your attitude, actions, and responses. Be proactive. Take steps to manage stress and anxiety while staying focused on the present and planning solutions to engineer the best possible outcome for yourself and those who are important to you. The truth is, change is a double-edged sword that delivers positives and negatives. While it can be challenging, by embracing opportunities for growth and empowerment and realizing that you may be facing a new beginning, you can harness this transformative process and emerge stronger, wiser, and a greater individual. How we become who we are. It is very understandable to wonder about the factors that contribute to each of us becoming the unique person that we are. We are commonly influenced by the cultural norms, values, and ideas that shape our society, and consequently ourselves and our worldview. So-called common life influences are: how has your family influenced your cultural identity and thought processes? Traditions, rituals, and customs passed down through generations each make a contribution. Just to name a few, there is community and peer influences, educational influence, plus media and cultural influences. What about personal experiences? These may be different from what others close to you may have experienced. Cultural identity is dynamic and multifaceted. Education, friendship, and travel can expose one to all sorts of perspectives. In short, there are numerous encounters, challenges, and opportunities that can impact our life journey. And then there is self-reflection. There's no telling where a self-reflective examination may lead. There are too many factors to consider, but if you regularly take time to be introspective and honestly consider the key moments of your life, you may help uncover how your personality has evolved. It can be painful to gain a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you, but it is my belief that most of us will agree that such a process is well worth the effort. How we think. The human brain may be the greatest machine ever created. Divided into two hemispheres, left and right, each has a separate role in how we perceive, interpret, and interact with our environment. They also hold the keys to unlocking greater creativity, problem solving, and in rare cases, genius. While even a very basic brain discussion would be too great to include here, we've added a few snippets to get you thinking. The so-called left brain provides logic and analytical ability. It is often associated with verbal communication and excels in tasks that require sequential processing, such as mathematics, language, and reasoning. The left brain is also responsible for critical thinking and information organization. One's right brain provides the creative and intuitive aspects, including imagination and holistic thinking. It manages spatial awareness, visualization, and pattern recognition, while also including artistic expression, emotional processing, and understanding visual imagery. An intense network of nerve fibers, the corpus callosum, provides interconnectedness and integration between the two sides, allowing for information sharing and interaction between the two hemispheres, enabling complex cognitive processes and balanced functioning. Seamless interaction between the left and right brain is believed to result in genius. This often arises from being able to leverage logical analysis and creative intuition. The result is unique ideas and solutions. The challenge then is to harness the abilities of each hemisphere for maximum brain power. To this end, there are actually activities in which one can engage that may stimulate each hemisphere. The left side of the brain thrives by solving puzzles, engaging in logical reasoning, learning new languages, and practicing critical thinking. The neighboring right side likes to engage in artistic pursuits, exploring nature, practicing mindfulness and meditation, and fostering emotional intelligence. It's encouraging to note that genius may not be confined to a select few. It, or shades of it, may actually be within reach of anyone willing to regularly develop the interconnectedness of their brain's hemispheres. Similar to understanding the power behind our brains is to learn to appreciate the many lessons of behavioral physiology. Like the above topics, behavioral physiology, which focuses on the interconnections between the brain, body, and behavior, is far too gigantic a topic to address here. Nonetheless, it illustrates how our physiological processes influence thoughts, emotions, and actions and can be divided into a few basic categories. The mind-body connection. Much has been written about the mind-body connection as it concerns the many connections between mental and physical health, the interplay of psychological factors on our physiological processes, and ultimately who we are as individuals. As a part of the self-discovery process, cultivating mindfulness and self-awareness can foster a deeper understanding of the interplay between thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations. Many feel this exercise and its ability to fill the body with oxygen can enable us to maximize behavioral physiology for greater overall well-being and personal success. The journey to self-discovery is never ending. By understanding the personal, emotional, and physiological aspects of ourselves, however, we can come one step closer to making this a very enriching experience. Closing thoughts. Your invitation to a month of Sundays. Dear friend, we've covered a lot of topics in this small book. Hopefully it has helped you think about where you are and where you'd like to be in the near future and how to get there, because today, retirement often is no longer an end, but rather a new beginning. On the personal side, this can be a chance to embark on new adventures, travel, return to school, start a business, or get involved with a charity. For others, it may simply mean spending more time on the golf course or with the grandchildren. When it comes to finances, with this new horizon, very often there is a need to address such concerns as capital preservation, income generation, tax minimization, long-term care, and estate planning. While there is a vast amount of personal finance information available, it is often very general in nature. Therefore, you may benefit from professional advice tailored to meet your specific situation. Helping people to plan their financial futures for 30 plus years, I have provided this brief book, hoping it will answer many of your questions. However, since we cannot thoroughly answer each of your questions here, it is highly advisable that you meet with an independent financial professional as you prepare to enter this next life phase. As we specialize in retirement and long-term investment planning, we'd be pleased to schedule a confidential and complimentary introductory meeting to discuss how we may be able to assist you in making your transition to this next life chapter as pleasant as possible. It is my sincere hope that I see you at the cafe one day as you enjoy your month of Sundays. Very truly yours, Joseph Ventura, 269 Osborne Road, Loudonville, New York, 12211. www.edenasc.com. joe@edenasc.com. 518-312-2537.